You could be having a great day. Nothing bad happens, nobody's mad at you that you know of. Everything is fine, yet you still go to bed feeling like you're waiting for the next shoe to drop and like you're constantly walking on eggshells or bracing for impact. And the worst part is, you don't even know why. It sucks. I know. Here's the key. If you do feel this way, if you feel like you're always bracing for impact, or you're always on the verge of a mental breakdown, or you're constantly scanning for what can possibly go wrong, that is not a personality trait. And it is definitely not something you inherited. Those are belief systems, patterns, and programs that were never yours to have. They were given to you by somebody else. You were conditioned when you were younger to think or feel that way. Now, in case you're new to me, I'm Dan Candell. I'm a board certified hypnotist, and I've been known worldwide as the anxiety relief guy. And I specialize in working with adults who have experienced trauma or who grew up with alcoholics as parents. And that is really tough if you think you've worked your way through it, but then this stuff still comes back to bite you in the ass later in life. Think about it. If mom or dad were substance abusers or alcoholics, guess what? You learned that every time you let your guard down, every time you learned to trust again, the people that you were supposed to care about most and love the most, they violated your trust and then bad things would happen. So these thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are stuck in your subconscious mind and stuck in your nervous system, they're stuck emotions that were there to keep you safe. But now they are sabotaging you and they're probably fucking up every part of your life. When you grow up in an unpredictable environment, something amazing happens. Your brain does something that's helpful and annoying all at the same time. Your brain stays on all the time because it kept you safe. And even though that might feel like anxiety, it's actually trauma. It is your brain that has its fire alarm going off all the time, even though there's no fire. Here's why this shit program follows you throughout adulthood. The environment changed, but your programming never did. My favorite analogy is your brain is like the person that's at the party still talking about Y2K being a total disaster. But this is what might not make sense. The better your life gets, the more wins you have, the worse that scatterbrain feeling gets. The worse and the more you start to scan. Why? Because now, Cupcake, you have more to lose. So the alarm gets louder, not quieter. It goes off faster and more instead of slowing down. Success, stability, financial gains, good relationships, those can all keep that alarm going off more and more and more. Because somewhere rolling around in your good old cabeza, in your subconscious mind, there's a belief system. The belief system is good things don't last, and I should know better than to trust this. So by now, you're probably like, wow, Dan, it's almost like you have a crystal ball and you're looking into my mind. And I totally get it. That's what a lot of people say when I describe these types of feelings, emotions, and sensations. But here's what you might not know. This has nothing to do with a chemical imbalance. It has nothing to do with being mentally ill. It's not your personality, and it's also not permanent. These belief systems, these feelings of being on edge, these were taught to you, not inherited. In fact, every single time something bad happened when you were a kid, your mind goes on high alert. It goes danger, danger, danger. And it gave you all of these coping skills that, again, never got updated. Here's what's really important to understand. These patterns can be unlearned because anything learned can be unlearned. It's just what way do you choose? Because there's so much stuff out there. In fact, there are so many bullshit and con artists out there that are just trying to take advantage of you. And they might only know one thing or one strategy that can help. And that strategy might work for some of the people some of the time. But what happens when that one thing doesn't work? You're shit out of luck, my friend. Now, here's the magic of it all. All of this stuff, all of these thoughts, these feelings, sensations, and emotions, and these behaviors, actions, reactions, and responses, they all live in your subconscious mind and in your nervous system. These are all stuck emotions from childhood that never really dropped out of your body. These are limiting beliefs that got stuck into your subconscious mind. They literally got burned in there, and we need to fill over those programs. I said something very interesting just a second ago, and I mentioned thoughts, emotions, and actions. And here's what happens: your thoughts influence your feelings, sensations, and emotions, which influence your behaviors, actions, reactions, and responses. So if we just start changing the way you think on a subconscious level, guess what's going to happen? It's going to help you change your feelings, emotions, and sensations. And if we can change those feelings, emotions, and sensations, guess what happens? We can adjust and influence those behaviors, reactions, and responses and habits. Those are the things that we want to get to completely wipe away those limiting belief systems. And when you understand they're not a part of your identity, that's when you begin to change them. Now, here's one other key that many people aren't going to tell you: what we resist will persist. How many times have you told yourself, oh my God, I got to stop feeling like this? Or, oh my gosh, I got to stop thinking like this? Or, oh my gosh, I can't keep doing things like this? That's because you're living in the space of constant resistance. Now, it doesn't mean that you just give up and cast everything out and say, you know what, fine, I'm just going to accept this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how I think. No, 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 no. It's you accept that you have control over it without being controlling. You can have control without being controlling. And when you know how you can influence your thoughts, you can influence your feelings, sensations, and emotions. So that way you understand that all the bullshit that happened when you were younger, guess what, my friend? Just because it happened then doesn't mean it needs to still impact you, still affect you, and still influence you in a negative way. You deserve to have a good day, not just struggle or survive through it. You also deserve a life where it just seems easier. Things seem more automatic and natural for you to default to a good feeling instead of a, "Ugh, I can't keep living like this" type of feeling. And that's where I'm going to wrap it up all together in this pretty package and say the reason why you feel like you are on the verge of a mental breakdown, why you feel like you're fucked in the head, is because you are still trying to solve adult problems with childlike resources. And you owe it to yourself to update those resources. Just like we'd update a computer, we can update those resources by using the right strategies and getting into the subconscious mind. That's a part of the mind that stores all of your perceptions of all of your experiences, all the things you have ever heard, seen, felt, done, experienced, learned, read, smelled, and tasted. Your perceptions of all those things, it's stored in that part of your mind. And when we can influence that part of the mind, that's where we can start to also influence your thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions, behaviors, habits, programs, personality, and even your thoughts. This is my passion, and I hope it comes through because I was just like you. I was constantly feeling like I was on the verge of a mental breakdown. I was constantly feeling like something's about to go wrong or something bad's about to happen. Why? Just like you, every time I let my guard down and I became vulnerable, that's when the bad shit happened. It wasn't until I started retraining my mind and retraining my body using a deep integrated approach that I realized, wow, I actually can feel better. I don't constantly have to feel like I'm bracing for impact all the time. And I know the same thing is possible for you too. So I would love to get the opportunity to work with you. But if you still want more, guess what? I have a whole bunch of YouTube videos and a bunch of other videos and podcasts and episodes. They're going to help you start to retrain your mind and start to think a little bit different about this. Because when you start to think differently, you begin to feel different. And when you start to feel different, you start to behave, react, and respond different. Thanks so much for allowing me to share this with you. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are, and happy healing.